Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to another Cars 2 modding tutorial. And this is probably the moment you have been waiting for. Just a couple hours ago, ArcadeEssentials released, Pentane released the other day, and you might have heard me or even others talking about Pentane and ArcadeEssentials. But you're probably wondering what that stuff actually is. Well, I'm gonna first explain what ArcadeEssentials is. ArcadeEssentials is basically a Pentane plugin that allows Cars 2 Arcade to be quote-unquote unlocked. It basically restores critical base game functionality back into Cars 2 Arcade. Because for those who don't know, Cars 2 Arcade is an arcade version of Cars 2. You know, pretty straightforward. But the problem with Cars 2 Arcade is, while it is natively playable on Windows computers, the issue arises when you actually try to do anything in the game. The game locks you into the map selection screen. You only have a couple seconds to pick the map and the character you want to play as, and not all the maps are in the game. And you can't pick any game modes, you can't really do anything. You're extremely limited on what you can actually do. And the functionality in arcade is basically non-existent. It really is just an arcade game where you just drive around one lap of a track and you move on to whatever else you're doing. But ArcadeEssentials basically fixes that problem. It restores all of the vanilla games menus. You can basically play this as if it were an alternate version of the Cars 2 PC port. And I did mention earlier that ArcadeEssentials is a Pentane plugin. But what is Pentane? Well, Pentane is a user configurable plugin loader and modding framework. Essentially, it lets you run code mods on supported games. So currently the only supported games are Cars the video game, Cars International, PC versions of course, Cars 2 the video game PC, and Cars 2 Arcade. So those are currently the supported games. Pentane's plugin system allows any developers creating plugins to modify game code and implement new or existing functionalities directly into these games. So that is how ArcadeEssentials came to be. Bless FT, thank you for creating ArcadeEssentials. And yeah, that's basically what Pentane and ArcadeEssentials is. So with that in mind, how do you actually install these two things? Well, it's actually very simple. I have a link in the description that I want you to click right now. Click the highoctanedev.github.io link. This will take you to the Pentane documentation page, where you can actually find the written guide on how to install it and how to install ArcadeEssentials. Now, you can read this, but if you're a little confused on how you actually have to install these two things, don't worry. I'm going to help you out with that. So let's go on over to that trusty page, and as you can see here, we have information on Pentane, and we have the installation and setup section right here. So you want to go here, and we're going to basically skip this section because this section is not necessary for Cars 2 ArcadeEssentials. This video is currently going to just focus on the installation for Cars 2 Arcade. So as you can see right here, if you're installing Pentane for the CD release of Cars International, the Amazon Games version of Cars 2 the video game, or Cars 2 Arcade, you should skip this section. So let's go ahead and skip that, and we're going to head here to the actual Pentane installation. So first step, you want to head over to the releases page on the Pentane installer GitHub repository. So let's head over there. Let's click that link. And as you can see here, we have pentaneinstaller.exe. So let's go ahead and download that. And if you see Windows Security pop up, if it says there are any threats found, make sure you go to Windows Security and you basically turn it off. Don't worry, these are not viruses. The only reason Windows picks it up as a potential virus is simply because not that many people have downloaded it, and because your system doesn't recognize what it's actually trying to do. So you want to go ahead and disable your Windows protection services. So you want to head to Virus and Threat Protection. You want to go to Manage Settings, and you want to turn off Real-Time Protection. And I believe that is it. So let's go ahead and try to install this again. So as you can see here, it did download, but it is going to automatically delete itself once you try using it. So let's go ahead and install this again, and let's see if it gives me the pop-up, and it does not. So make sure to either turn off real-time protection, or you go to protection history and allow the Pentane installer.exe to be ran. Either of these two methods work. So once you do that, you want to go back to the installation page, and you want to head to the releases page on the Pentane GitHub repository. So let's open that. And as you can see here, we have a whole list of DLLs. And essentially, because we're doing this for Cars 2 Arcade, you want to download Pentane 2tvga.dll. Don't confuse it for Pentane 2tvg, which is for Cars 2 PC. This one is what you want for Cars 2 Arcade. So let's go ahead and download that. There we go. And for the next step, what you basically want to do is head over to your downloads folder and rename Pentane 2tvga to just pentane.dll. Once you do that, you want to head over and copy pentane.dll or cut it, doesn't really matter, and you want to paste it in the root directory of your Cars 2 Arcade install. So this will be where your sdaemon.exe is, so you want to just paste it in here, and boom, there it is. And to get Cars 2 Arcade to actually read pentane.dll, you want to open pentane installer.exe. So let's go ahead and open that up. And you want to head over to where your Cars 2 Arcade files are. So let's go back over here. And you want to select sdaemon.exe. This will basically change some information in the exe that allows it to run pentane.dll. And as you can see there, I just got the pop-up saying, "Congratulations, you have successfully installed Pentane." So now we've done the first step toward installing and playing Arcade Essentials. This is where the actual meat and potatoes comes in. So in the guide, it states, in the root folder of your target game, create a Pentane folder next to pentane.dll and your game's executable file. So here, you want to go back to your root directory as it says, right click, new, folder, and you want to name the folder Pentane. And you want to head in that folder, and you want to create another folder called plugins. There you go. And the next thing you want to do is head to this link right here, navigate to the assets/config templates folder in the Pentane GitHub repository linked here. So let's go to that link, and we're basically going to download a configuration file for the specific game. So in this case, we're going to download cars2arcade.toml. So you want to go here to these three dots and then click download. And once you do that, cars2arcade.toml will show up right here. You want to rename this to config.toml, and then you want to copy or cut this and then paste it right here inside the Pentane folder. And once you do that, you want to open up config.toml with Notepad or some sort of Notepad equivalent. So let's go ahead and open this up. I'm gonna be opening it up with Visual Studio, but you can also use Notepad or Notepad++, whatever it is, you can use it. And then right here at the enabled plugins section, you want to put quote ArcadeEssentials.dll end quote. And then you want to go ahead to file and then save, and then you can close out of that. And now that that's done, we're going to head over to the Arcade Essentials installation section. So you can actually find that by going to the Targets tab, Cars 2 the video game, PC/arcade, and then going to guides, and then installing ArcadeEssentials. So you want to click on that. And it says here, warning, ArcadeEssentials is not compatible with the PC version of Cars 2 the video game. It is only compatible with Cars 2 Arcade. So keep that in mind. Do not try to install this on Cars 2 PC. If you are trying to install this on Cars 2 PC, please click off the video now. You don't want to proceed from here on out if you're doing this for Cars 2 PC. So the first step towards installing ArcadeEssentials is to head over to the releases page on the ArcadeEssentials GitHub repository. So now that we've installed Pentane, we can just ignore this and head straight to the GitHub page for ArcadeEssentials. And you want to install this release.zip. So let's go ahead and download that. And once you have downloaded that, you want to open the downloads folder. You want to open up release.zip, and you want to copy both of these folders into the root directory of your Cars 2 Arcade install. So we're back here once again where the sdaemon.exe file is, and you want to basically just paste it in here. And if it asks you to replace any files, make sure you do that. So there we go. We've just replaced all the necessary files, and we have now installed ArcadeEssentials. So now all you have to do from here is open up the game and enjoy. Keep in mind that in order to play Cars 2 ArcadeEssentials, you will need, at least currently, you will need an X input device. If you have a D input device or a mouse and keyboard, those are not usable in Cars 2 Arcade. You might notice that some buttons work, but it's not completely playable as the input support is kind of broken at the moment. I don't think it will be fixed, so please don't count on that. If you want to play Cars 2 ArcadeEssentials, please just make sure that you have an X input controller or some sort of third-party software for your controller that will make it register as an X input controller. For DualShock 4s and DualSense controllers, you will probably want to use DS4Windows, and for any Nintendo Switch or Nintendo related controllers, you probably want to use BetterCemu Joy-Con, something like that. So something like that. I'll have links for all of that stuff in the description below if you are in need of any of that stuff. Oh, and don't forget, once you're done, make sure to turn on real-time protection once again, because if you don't, something malicious might actually be installed on your PC, and we don't want that. So make sure that when you're done with all this, you turn on virus and threat protection / real-time protection back on. But anyway, with that in mind, I hope you enjoy playing ArcadeEssentials. There's a ton of work, ton of passion put into it, and it's definitely important. It's a brand new era for Cars 2 modding, and it's only going to get bigger from here. I hope this tutorial helped you, and I hope you gain more knowledge of how Cars 2 and Cars 2 modding works. I'll see you, everybody, in the next video. Have a good one.